Hello, I'm Lara Kulcharsan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online.
We have decided to inflict her with only one sentence, that is sentence of death.
She is Bangladesh's former PM Sheikh Hasina, who was sentenced to death for ordering a deadly crackdown on Gen Z protesters last year. Hasina is accused of ordering live ammunition, drone strikes, and helicopters to attack young protesters who opposed unfair government quotas. Demonstrations rapidly spread across the country, and Hasina's heavy-handedness left around 1,400 people dead. Mohammed went to the Dhaka University campus and asked young people how they feel about the verdict.
The students or youth took huge risk, and even according to a report of the United Nations, 1,400 people, mostly youth and the students, sacrificed their life while thousands others endured. So why the students took such risk? What was their dream? What type of Bangladesh they actually want? Now we are in a time, the country is waiting for a national election that will be held just after a few months in February next year. So at this moment, I want to talk with the students of Dhaka University, what was actually their dream.
আমি চাই যে দুর্নীতিমুক্ত যেন বাংলাদেশটা হয়, যেন এই সমস্যা যেন না থাকে। যে অনেক আছে না, যেমন রাজনীতি করে কিন্তু রাজনীতি নিয়ে অনেক বেশি পাওয়ার দেখায়। আমি চাই যে এটা থাকুক বাংলাদেশের মধ্যে, যেন রাজনীতি পাওয়ার না দেখে ওটাকে ঠিকভাবে ঠিক জায়গায় যেন কাজে লাগায়, যে জায়গায় আসলে লাগানো উচিত। হ্যাঁ, তারপর হলো যে গরিব মানুষদের উপর শোষণ না করে ওদের ভালো জিনিসটা চাও।
আমরা দেশের হচ্ছে কি যেন জেনজি জেনারেশন, আমরা চাই আমাদের জন্য হচ্ছে যে রাষ্ট্রের গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটি দায়িত্ব নাগরিক হিসেবে ভোটাধিকার প্রয়োগ করার যে ক্ষমতাটা বা যে অধিকারটা, আমরা এটা হচ্ছে যে এবছর চাই এবং এখন থেকে হচ্ছে যে সামনের দিকে আমরা যতবার হচ্ছে কি যেন নাগরিক হিসেবে ভোট দিতে পারবো, যেন আমাদের এই এই দাবিটা বা হচ্ছে আমাদের এই অধিকারটা রাষ্ট্রের জন্য কখনো কেড়ে না নেয়। আমরা অবশ্যই এরকম একজন প্রার্থীকে বেছে নিব যে আমাদের 24কে ধারণ করবে, লালন করবে এবং আমাদের দেশ এবং দেশের জনগণকে নিয়ে ভাববে, আমাদের স্বাধীনতা সার্বভৌমত্ব রক্ষার জন্য যে কাজ করবে। আমরা ওই সরকারকে অবশ্যই আমাদের মূল্যবান ভোট প্রয়োগ করে তাদেরকে সংসদে নিয়ে যাব ইনশাআল্লাহ।
They took part in that movement for the betterment of this country, and the dream for a Bangladesh that will be very good, that will be progressive, based on rule of law, justice, and democratic practice.
While Bangladeshis are hopeful that upcoming elections will usher in real change, there is uncertainty about whether the former leader will return home to face punishment. Hasina has long dismissed the case against her as an unfair witch hunt, and her political party called the tribunal that sentenced her a kangaroo court. India is also in a difficult position: risk damaging its relationship with one of its biggest trading partners, or send a former prime minister who called New Delhi her home to the gallows.
That she fled the country and took refuge in India, where she still remains. So as the verdict is delivered, people were celebrating. But what is the reality? She can appeal this verdict, but of course, technically she needed to be in the courtroom to do so. So will India extradite her? Some are saying that this was an unfair trial. Others are saying this is just simply about political revenge. The UN and the international humanitarian agencies think that this is an inhumane verdict. Lots in the balance. It's going to be a diplomatic nightmare for India and Bangladesh.
The United Nations Security Council has approved the US's 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan. It will establish a new board of peace to oversee Gaza's governance and reconstruction efforts. The resolution leads to the creation of a transitional authority alongside an International Stabilization Force, or ISF. Under the proposed plan, US President Donald Trump will ultimately oversee Gaza through this new board. It is expected to report to the Security Council, but it will operate independently of the UN and previous UN resolutions. The ISF, whose members have yet to be settled on, will be tasked with monitoring the board's activities. Supporters say this could open a new path towards an independent Palestinian state.
United Nations Security Council approved Donald Trump's plan for Gaza in a 13-0 vote They all voted in favor, with the exception of China and Russia, who abstained from their votes for obvious reasons there, but this is now making way for what the United States is calling right now the new course of the Middle East. This is what the actual plan is going to look like. It's going to be divided up into different zones. This will break up Gaza into different zones. You can see the red zone here and the green zone with the yellow line. Once divided up and after Israeli troops are out, an international stabilization force will be led by the United States to police everything. As all this is going on, a new board is going to be built up with about just over a dozen people, in which those people will then distinguish and kind of put together what this new thing is going to be. I know that's kind of hard to understand because we really don't know who is going to be running this board or what they're going to be doing it. I think Donald Trump himself would actually be picking said people. This board, by the way, is called the Board of Peace, and it says its membership and powers are still unclear. So, like I said before, we don't know. When it comes to the stabilization force, countries haven't yet actually announced who's going to be committing how many troops. We do expect a decent amount from many different countries. That aside, the whole thing we're still trying to figure out is, does Palestine have a voice?
A key aspect of the resolution is the demilitarization of Gaza, which involves Hamas disarming. The group rejects it, saying it places the enclave under an international guardianship system. And so many other people, including some Palestinians, are unhappy with the resolution.
This resolution has been rejected by Palestinian civil society, by Hamas, other Palestinian factions, and by defenders of human rights everywhere.
Resolution that would effectively authorize an American occupation of Gaza with total U.S.-Israeli control over governance in Gaza and the Strip's future. This push sets an extremely dangerous precedent and is a threat to our people's sovereignty and our cause, aimed at liquidating Palestinian agency and the struggle for liberation.
It's the internationalization of the Israeli occupation. It pretends to be humanitarian, but it's really a plan to entrench occupation under a new name. The resolution imposes a 2-year foreign mandate with international forces to, quote, secure borders, protect civilians, and decommission weapons, all euphemisms for forcing Palestinians to disarm while doing nothing to end the root causes of violence: Israel's siege, military rule, ethnic cleansing. And who is going to oversee this project? A so-called Board of Peace chaired by Donald Trump, the same U.S. president that armed, funded, and shielded Israel as it killed and displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians.
As AI slips into almost every corner of our daily lives, tech bosses are now quietly admitting something. They're worried the hype might soon burst. Turns out many tech bosses, including OpenAI's Sam Altman, kind of think we're in an AI bubble. A bubble happens when prices skyrocket way beyond real value, usually because investors get carried away. And let's be honest, they have been very excited about AI. If that's true, the fallout wouldn't be small. Just like the dot-com crash, the crypto implosion, or the 2000s housing collapse, an AI bubble could shake the entire global economy.
I'm sure you've seen this chart floating around showing the insane financial round-tripping happening inside the AI world. And for some, it's starting to look a little bubbly.
You cannot look at this web of promises and handshake deals. It's a bubble. It looks like a bubble. And what is the one thing that we know bubbles do? Pop.
The only thing you need to know about stocks and market economics and trading is that all of it is based on confidence and feelings. These finance bros literally just go off vibes. They'll lose confidence in AI for one evening and suddenly $250 billion worth of value is lost. It's not helped by the fact that everyone is looking at the AI industry and realizing that it is just this. 7 companies moving around an imaginary $1 trillion, and that is propping up the entire US economy.
Even Google says no one's safe if the AI bubble pops. In an exclusive chat with the BBC, Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai admitted that while this AI boom has been an extraordinary moment, there's definitely some irrational hype in the mix. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos has decided now is the perfect time to launch a brand new AI company with himself as CEO. He's co-leading an AI startup called Project Prometheus, which wants to build advanced AI for engineering and manufacturing. The company has already raised $6.2 million. That's more than some tech firms pull in over an entire lifetime. But the big question remains, do we really need another AI company in the race? Moving to Apple, who have just made a small but actually huge change to the iOS App Store rules. The company now tells app developers they must spell out exactly where your personal data is going, including whether it's being shared with any third-party AI. And apps are not allowed to bury it in fine print anymore. They have to ask for clear, explicit permission before anything gets passed along. So if an app crosses the line, it's getting rejected. Apple doesn't define that line in detail. This is the company's first time ever naming AI directly in its App Store rules. And it comes right as tech giants are being sued left and right over how they gather data for training. Meta has one less problem now. A US judge ruled that the tech giant did not violate antitrust law in a case brought by Federal Trade Commission. The court determined that Meta's purchase of Instagram and WhatsApp didn't unlawfully eliminate competition in social networking. It's a clear loss for the FTC, which sued Meta back in 2020, arguing that the company had built a social media monopoly by acquiring its rivals. Meta has long pushed back the claims, saying the market is too loosely defined and that it faces tough competition from TikTok and YouTube. So as Meta's monopoly accusations fade away, X is moving in on your inbox. It looks like we have another messaging app hiding inside X. The platform just rolled out new encrypted DMs with video and voice calls, disappearing messages, and file sharing. Messages are encrypted, but X says metadata isn't. So it still knows who you messaged and when. Basically, it is trying to turn its inbox into WhatsApp, Signal, and FaceTime rolled into one. The platform first introduced encrypted DMs in 2023, then paused the feature in May. Now it's back, rebranded as Chat. A serial intruder, the one who lunged at Ariana Grande on the yellow carpet in Singapore, has been sentenced to 9 days in jail. 26-year-old Johnson Wen pleaded guilty after he jumped a barricade at the Wicked for Good premiere on November 13th and ran straight at the singer-actor. The moment went viral. When throwing his arms around her, Grande's co-star Cynthia Erivo was stepping in to shield her, and security tackling him within seconds. Wen, who calls himself Pajama Man online and proudly brands himself as the most hated troll, is no stranger to this. He's a repeat stage crasher.
Finally, I dreamed about meeting Ariana Grande, and finally, my dream became true.
This wasn't the first time he had done something like this. He had previously attacked Katy Perry in The Weeknd.
Here he is at the Weeknd show, and it's such an awkward moment because you never really know what to do. You don't want to look like a jerk, but you also don't know what this person's intentions are. And again, here he is at Katy Perry's show, and she is also kind of like, what are you doing here? Oh, you thought we were done? Here he is at the Chainsmokers show. This guy does not know when to quit.
And even pretended to fall in front of restaurants multiple times, wasting food carelessly. Pajama Man had often been escorted out by bodyguards and gotten away with it.
The internet didn't hold back. Most people called his stunt completely unhinged and rushed to defend Ariana Grande. And sure, a few commenters argued he was just trying to hug her and didn't mean any harm. But plenty still used the word attacked.
Sure, we could discuss whether or not the terminology attacked is accurate or not, because yeah, he tried to hug her, but if you look closely at the video, you can also see that he literally pulled her neck. And can we please also not forget that Ariana has PTSD, because not many years ago, there was a literal attack at one of her concerts, and she's been traumatized ever since. And like, she is anxious enough at like big events like that, but Wicked was supposed to be a good thing. It's her lifelong dream. He ruined it for her, he ruined it for everyone else, for all the fans. In any case, it was not okay, and it was not just a simple hug that fully invalidates the experience that she must have been through.
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.